Today we're doing a virtual summit, and this panel is all about Know Your Rights. Today we have Clarabelle Garcia and Peter Contos from Cannabis Equity Illinois, and they have been doing so much really, really hard work for the past year and a half now, right? We've been working together on this,
Mhm.
on Know Your Rights. Clarabelle and Peter are both members of Chicago Normal, which is how I met them, and they are experts in this field. So let's kind of get into it, okay? So Clarabelle, can you tell me about Herbal Legal?
So Herbal Legal, what I do, I'm an independent contract paralegal. That is my full-time day job. I also am building my POC business, cannabis and business ancillary network. So basically POC comes together with this business aspect and notary services and legal document preparation. And that's what I do with Herbal Legal.
That's important work right there.
Mhm.
Yes.
Peter, tell us about Cannabis Equity Illinois.
Yeah, so the Cannabis Equity Illinois Coalition, we've been organizing for a little bit over a year now, really with the goal in mind of making sure that legalization in Illinois is done to make sure that we're repairing and reinvesting in the individuals and communities most harmed by prohibition, and kind of taking a step in a different direction when it comes to legalization. So we're a group of mostly community members, a handful of nonprofits. We meet every week and we do all sorts of different stuff around Know Your Rights, around expungement, trying to implement some policy. So across the board, we are just running around trying to make this work for the people that it matters most to.
Thank you both for all of that. So we know that the Cannabis Tax and Regulation Act, the CRTA, is a deep, deep bill. And there has been a lot of work to be done to educate people about that, those folks who have not read all of the pages and the addendums and all of that. Um, and so I wanted to get really into what the public needs to know first, um, about about cannabis being legal and consuming. Can you talk a little bit about where and how people can consume cannabis legally?
In terms of where you can consume, it's a great question because I think there wasn't a lot of information in the bill. I feel like there wasn't a lot of information post legalization, whether it was the media, whether it was community groups talking about, hey, actually, where can you smoke? Where can you go consume? Wherever you're getting your products from or your medicine from, where actually are you allowed to go without risking any trouble? And that's actually a really complicated answer. If you are a renter, there's a good chance that your lease says you can't smoke anything, tobacco, cannabis, whatever. If your lease didn't say, if you're a renter and your lease didn't say anything like that, that might have changed on January 1st. I know my lease did. There was no mention of smoking when I first signed the lease. But by the time January, I think it was like 4th or 5th, I got an email saying that they had updated the lease, no cannabis allowed. And so, that puts me in a precarious situation, and it puts a lot of our renters in a precarious situation. If you're in any kind of condo association, you definitely want to read any of those rules and regulations as well to see what allowance there is for cannabis. There's probably you probably cannot, is my best guess. And then as well as public housing, you're on any kind of public housing voucher. You run the risk of eviction, not just if you're consuming yourself, but by having somebody in your space who is consuming cannabis. There is, that's a very, very, you can get, that's grounds for eviction. We have heard the Chicago Housing Authority has kind of walked back a little bit. Originally they said they will evict for cannabis. They have walked that back with a different guidance that said we're going to look at each case, case by case basis, trying to look at these things holistically and figure out what's the best way to go forward without immediately evicting. And so I guess that's the in the house. If you're a homeowner, you're a homeowner, so you're probably all right, unless you have a partner who's not cool with that. But I guess Clarabelle, do you want to talk about smoking outdoors?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Clarabelle to talk about just give us a little bit about outdoors, in your car, and then at work.
Right. So no public consumption anywhere. So at all, no, nothing outside. You still have to be kind of, if you're going to smoke outside publicly, still be on the lookout, be, precautious where you are doing that. As far as driving while while smoking, you can still get a DUI. You can get arrested for that.
You can get
Even if
arrested for that?
I'm sorry, not arrested, but you can get a DUI for that.
Yeah. It's like, uh-oh.
And, yeah. Sorry about that. And so it's pretty zero tolerance. Even if your car is off or on, or your engine, you still can face a DUI. Driving under the influence. I know Chicago has implemented about smoking in your front yard or in your backyard, as long as it's out of public view, out of sight, out of mind. That's kind of how we have to
Don't ask, don't tell.
Same, yeah. So that's kind of how it is to consume publicly and on your property too.
Yeah. And it's 21 and over, right?
Correct.
Yeah, for people to buy and purchase legally. So what is buying and purchase legally? Can I still call Dwayne? Is that legal? Clarabelle?
Can you spell what? I'm sorry.
Can I still call Dwayne and have Dwayne bring me, an eighth? Is that legal?
No, that is not legal.
So if someone does something that is illegal, what kind of fines, or you said you won't get arrested, but like what might you expect if you were to get a ticket or caught doing something illegally?
So if you are possessing over the limit, and the possession limit is 30 grams of flower, less than 500 milligrams of THC or infused THC product, and then 5 grams of cannabis concentrate. I don't have those memorized. I had to look at
that's okay.
My paper right now. But the penalties here in Chicago, for your first offense, you get $50 fine. And for a subsequent offense within the 30-day period is $100. And for anyone that's under 21 that is caught with possessing cannabis or using it, you serve community service, attend a drug awareness class, an education class, or a restorative justice program. And that's what Chicago has put in place for that.
So, yeah, still like fines and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Money.
We can cuss. This is a free cuss.
Okay.
So Peter, and those fines are still there, and a 16-year-old might have a problem coming up with money, or 18-year-old, and anybody's shit. I don't even have $50 right now, but are these being enforced? Like, do we see cops doing this?
So one thing, the coalition we've tried to do is we've tried to get data from Chicago Police Department to see what public citations look like. Are they happening? Are they not happening? Where are they happening to? We still haven't had, been able to access that data. That's something, we're working on trying to either get from Chicago Police Department.
Get and publish it, yes.
Yes, because we want to know where is it happening and who's it happening to, because we have a pretty strong sense that there is going to be racial disparities in the way that's enforced. We've seen that happen in Colorado. We've seen it happen in DC. We've seen it happen in almost every state that's gone legal. You see, the police saying, well, we can't arrest you for possession. We're going to ticket you and cite you for consumption. They're going to find different ways. So, Chicago, we don't have a lot of data on it, unfortunately. That's something we're working on. In terms of, I think the under 21 stuff is really interesting because they say there's going to be a model of drug education and restorative justice, which all sounds great, but we aren't aware of what those programs are actually, how they're being implemented. That's something we hope to help shape using the curriculum that the Drug Policy Alliance has created with the Safety First program. Students for Sensible Drug Policy have created with their Just Say No modules. There's a ton of good resources online that exist for drug education that we know can be used in a really healthy and, rehabilitative is not the right word because we're talking about smoking weed.
Right.
But there's just a lot of really good resources that people, especially young people, can use to learn about how these substances, impact our bodies. And we do hope to help the city in implementing those. It's just been a very slow process.
Yeah, and everything has gotten slowed down right now.
Yeah.
I was talking to a few people who had sought our advice about their applications, and the application wants you to address how you're going to um, do drug um, education and substance abuse. It was like literally in there, substance abuse, substance. I was like, but
Right.
this isn't substance abuse. We don't want to talk about it like that. We want to you want to spin it to the positive and make sure that it's education and it's not we're not talking about it as substance abuse like we have in the past, right?
Right.
Good. One last thing before I move on about what's allowed and what's not is cannabis in the workplace. So I know that when we all were going outside, you'd walk by any public building or anything like that, and there'd be tons of people outside smoking all the time. So that's not allowed because that would be public consumption for cannabis, right? But what about in the workplace? I mean, if you did step out and toke up on your lunch break, or just like anybody else would have a beer at lunch, is that allowed? Clarabelle.
So that is not allowed because you are, under the influence at work. If they do find something wrong with your behavior at work, you're not being productive. That's reasons for them to actually be like, oh, well, you're under the influence at work.
Not being productive.
Right. Yeah, they can use that. They can use that. As far, I mean, how else can they tell that you're under the influence versus same thing applies with alcohol, applies with cannabis in the workplace. You kind of have to think about it that way, even if you're possessing cannabis in the workplace. If for some reason, I don't know, if they find it at your desk or something like that, that's another means to basically, fire you from your employment.
Do
Or
you
do
have
some
any
other kind of
recourse?
means.
Do you have any recourse if you're let go? Can you file a
Yes, you
claim or?
can. Yeah, you can basically take some kind of adverse action
Mhm.
for that. If you're doing it during lunch or while your work hours, that's not an off-duty use of cannabis that you're doing. You have to do it outside of work. That even if you're working remotely or anything like that, you kind of have to do it outside of the workplace. But
Everybody's working remotely now. Are you trying to tell me?
not everybody's working remotely, but you can contest that
Okay.
and take that up with them.
All right. All right. Sounds good. Let's see. I'm going through my Peter, you jumped ahead and talked about housing. Okay.
Sorry about
That's
that.
okay. No, I mean it's all like part of this huge conversation. I know that we have done some work in the past together about um, on expungement and getting making sure that people are aware that they can have their records expunged in the past for a cannabis offense. Peter, can you tell me more about like what kinds of things can be expunged and how are they since we did that work in the fall, there's been a lot of movement on expungements. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Illinois, the legalization in Illinois, we brought, implementing, the broadest expungement program out of any of the legal states. If you have if you have an offense, if you have a charge, if you have a conviction, the expungement process is going to look a little bit different depending on what the course of action was. So if you were stopped and you were ticketed, or you were charged with something, but it never, the charges were, they were dropped, or you weren't convicted, you still want to be able to, you still are able to clear your record. It is an incredibly complicated process. But for the most part, in terms of the charges that, or the offenses that would be eligible to expunge, if you have any intent to manufacture or deliver, so basically if you have any dealing of up to 30 grams, so if you were charged, if you had an ounce on you, and there was some kind of evidence that you were going to sell it to somebody else, you would be able to get that expunged. If you have any personal possession of up to 500 grams, which is a little bit more than a pound, of just possession, you have to have no evidence of you trying to deal that.
Like not in little packages. It's
yeah, like if you have a pound of weed and then a bag of dime bags, you're going to get the intent to deliver. And so all of those are eligible to petition. But the petitioning process might look a little bit different. Some of these things, especially the lowest level of possession charges, those are being automatically expunged. We saw in late December, Kim Fox in Cook County, our state's attorney, she went ahead and did a number of automatic expungements. We hope that we can increase the capacity to do automatic expungements.
Yeah.
As large as possible. California has been doing that, trying to automate them as much as possible. We hope that Illinois will do the same. But I want to talk a little bit more about the process in terms of how to get expunged and how it's changed because of COVID. The whole process has changed. Unless you're getting your record automatically expunged, which you don't have to do anything, it's just going to be done. If it's somebody who doesn't fit into that kind of box, which is a limited box, you would have to go to the arresting agency to pick up your rap sheet. So if I got arrested for possession, by Chicago police, I would have to go to Chicago police at 35th in Michigan and say, I'm here for my rap sheet, pay the $16, get my rap sheet, and then start the expungement process. We've been told by Chicago police that they are really trying to keep people away from 35th in Michigan as part of social distancing. They want to make sure that people are home and safe, and they're worried that people might overcrowd the police station. So that process is certainly interrupted. The court process itself, the courts are closed for a lot of, they're only open for emergency hearings. In many counties, I would definitely encourage people to look up your county on the Illinois courts website to see what the process is. But there's a good chance the expungement process has been impacted. And so in this moment, we're currently pointing people at our legal resources with Cabrini Green Legal Aid and Legal Aid Chicago, who can help you. In the meantime, what does the process look like? Is there an additional kind of way to go about getting your record expunged or cleared? Really, hope to have updates on that soon as well.
We're going to put links to Legal Aid Chicago and Cabrini Green Legal Aid here so that folks will know how to get to them. And I know that Dorothy Brown's office usually has an annual big expungement summit, and that no doubt is going to be canceled too.
Yeah.
Okay, expungement. Oh my goodness, we're almost to the end. I can't believe that. There's so much information. Tell us real quick while we're in this little break how we can reach you, Clarabelle.
You can reach me by Instagram, which is probably the best way to reach me, or also by email at clarabelle@herballegal.co. And Facebook as well. Social media is probably the best way to.
What's your Instagram handle?
Herbal Legal.
Herbal Legal.
So Herbal Legal. Yeah.
All right, that's great. And what about you, Peter?
You can reach me. You can reach the coalition. It's cannabisequityil@gmail.com. You can reach the coalition on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Canna Equity IL. We're definitely way more responsive on Instagram and Facebook. And then you can reach me, the Cannabis Equity IL at gmail.com. All the cannabis related work that I do through that email. You can find me on Facebook at Peter Contos. You can find me on Instagram at pcontos. Yeah.
Great, that's good. I am so looking forward to getting back to working with you guys like in real life and seeing each other across the table
Right.
and being able to just check in with folks. I really miss that a lot. How are you hanging in there, Clarabelle?
I'm hanging in there, taking it day by day. I am a little keeping my time busy doing research work and also schoolwork, which is another thing that I'm doing, and I'm working from home, so I'm trying to keep sane.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm
yeah.
doing.
What about you, Peter?
I'm doing all right, trying to keep as busy as possible. This work has it's still this work never stops. A lot of work around legislation.
Yeah.
Really grateful that our coalition, we meet every Thursday. We used to meet in person, now we're meeting via Zoom. Those meetings are always open. I definitely encourage people to we can link that in this meeting and
Sure.
to find those meetings. Um, but yeah, just kind of keep working. My day job is in gun violence prevention, and that has not gotten any easier since COVID. And the cannabis stuff doesn't get any easier as well. So trying to keep balance, trying to get outside, take walks.
You've given us so much great information. So I really appreciate the work that you do out in the world for all of us. Um, on behalf of Chicago Normal, I love being a part of the coalition, and just love working with you guys. And so I really want to thank you so very
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.